Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. It's good to be with you on this gorgeous Tuesday morning. And Lenny started off our day here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Network, as always, in grand fashion. And those of you in the chat room, thank you for sticking around. Those of you watching on podcast, videocast, StreamYard, Facebook, whatever. It's great to be with you. We're going to talk about some daily advice today. I've got my notes right here. Let's grab those. There's a lot of them to go through this morning. And I want to start off talking about some daily plays in fantasy and who might be a good play against certain pitchers. Those of you who are listening in, here we go. And I'm not going to limit it just to 10 at-bats. If I see something that's outstanding, I'm going to talk about it. The Astros are playing the Angels today. That's the first game of the day at 4:05 p.m. And, the Astros have had a little tough time. George Springer, they've been a doubleheader today. But George Springer hit yesterday in the elbow with a pitch, came out of the game. Tests were negative. So it's just, they say contusion. Let's just call it a bruise. Because that's what it is. It's just a bruise. I don't know if he'll play in either of the games today. It's not a long-term situation. But they're facing a pitcher named Jose Suarez for the Anaheim Angels. And Springer is 3 for 7 off of Suarez in a limited sample with a home run. And Altuve is 4 for 8 against him, also with a home run. So just two to keep on lookout to see if they're in your lineup, playing a doubleheader today. But that's one of the pitchers they'll be facing. The Phillies are playing the Nats today. And Jake Arrieta is pitching for Philadelphia. And there's some pretty decent history against Arrieta from the Washington standpoint. Juan Soto is 4 for 9 with 2 home runs. Asdrubal Cabrera is 6 for 16. That's a 375 average, also with 2 home runs. Adam Eaton is 6 for 24. Now, one player you do not want to play, I don't think, is Josh Harrison, who in his career is 3 for 29 off of Arrieta for a paltry 103 batting average. Looking at some more, the Phillies against the Nationals pitcher, we've got Rhys Hoskins 1 for 10. Maybe not a good day to start Rhys Hoskins in fantasy. That's not a good average at all, huh? The Red Sox are playing the Blue Jays today in Buffalo. Chase Anderson is pitching for Toronto. Not a lot of history there, although Jose Peraza is 6 for 19 in his career. That's a 316 average with a home run. Here's an interesting matchup. And Tommy Milone, he's a guy that I like to throw stones at pretty much. I mean, I watched Tommy Milone pitch a few Sundays on a Sunday game about 2 years ago. I think he was with the Mets. And it was like one go for ball after another. I mean, he just could not get anybody out. So Milone is pitching today for the Orioles at Tampa in Tropicana Field against Tyler Glasnow. Now, Milone has pitched pretty decent at times this year. Facing a team today, Mike Zunino will probably start. He's 6 for 15. That's a 400 average with 3 home runs off Milone. So if I'm looking for a cheap catcher today in daily fantasy, I'm looking for Mike Zunino at home against Tommy Milone. Now, Glasnow against the Orioles. I just don't think you want to play many Orioles today. The only decent average is Rio Ruiz, who is 3 for 10. And last outing, Glasnow looked probably the best he has looked all season long. The Yankees are playing the Braves at SunTrust Park tonight in Atlanta. Garrett Cole going for the Yankees. There is actually some success in the Braves lineup against Garrett Cole. Freddie Freeman, 5 for 14. That's a 357 average with a long ball. Ender Inciarte, 7 for 16 for Atlanta. That's a 438 average. Inciarte, if he's in the lineup, I'm sure would be an inexpensive ad in daily fantasy today. So you may want to take a look. at Ender Inciarte for the Atlanta Braves. Those of you who out there who are Braves fans, taking on the Yankees could be a sneaky pick. Twins and Indians, Rich Hill and Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber, as Vin Scully once said about Clayton Kershaw, he's the best that they have. Well, he's the best that anybody has this year. So I think I'd like to sit Twins, even though the Twins are an explosive team. Now, if you do decide to go with Twins, Eddie Rosario is 6 for 20 career against Shane Bieber with 3 home runs. Eddie Rosario, 3 home runs and 20 at-bats against Shane Bieber. Miguel Sano is 6 for 19, and Sano's been hot lately. He's also got a home run. So those are 2 potential players. Here's one more. I know it's short, but Marwin Gonzalez, off of the game's best pitcher this year in his career, is 6 for 9. That's right. Marwin Gonzalez, 6 for 9, 2 doubles, and a home run. So apparently whatever Bieber has, it doesn't apply to Marwin Gonzalez. You know, these guys in fantasy will probably not be added. Check their price. It may be a guy you want to add today just to see and take a flyer on him to see what they do, right? I mean, he's not invincible. Even the best ones lose or give it up every now and then. There you go. The Oakland A's are playing the Texas Rangers, and Sean Manaea will be on the mound for Oakland. Not been impressed with Sean Manaea much this year. I just have not. And Texas, well, they looked really good hitting the ball. I watched their game last night with Oakland. It was a 3-2 win. It was Lance Lynn and Jose Solerdo pitching for Oakland. Great pitching. It didn't start off that way. Early on, it was 3-2, like in the second inning, but from then on, it was nothing. Goose eggs. Oakland had some really, Texas had some really professional at-bats against Luzardo. They were hitting balls out of the strike zone. Danny Santana hit a ball that was breaking in on his hands, and he still pulled it into left field for a double early on in that game. But Manaea, I'm just saying, right-handed bats today for Texas, to me, are in play. And Kyle Gibson pitching for Texas, left-handed bats for Oakland. And Matt Olson, we talked about him yesterday here on the show. And Matt Olson is just not having a Matt Olson kind of year. Do you know, though, Matt Olson has 9 home runs and only 18 hits. 50% of Matt Olson's hits this year have been home runs. It's the highest percentage of anyone, if it continues at this rate, in Major League history. I think Barry Bonds was at 46% the year he hit 73. But Olson is a better hitter than what he has shown. And we talked about him yesterday. We talked about the fact that his strikeout rate was down. Now, last night he struck out 3 times. But it looks like he's just missing. And if whatever is just missing is corrected, look for Olson to go on a tear. And tonight against Kyle Gibson could be the start of that tear. We just never know, do we? I got my eye on him, I can tell you that. We'll see how that goes tonight, Texas and Oakland. So those are just a few. I dropped my notes. Let's pick them back up. Those are just a few of some of the daily choices that you can have today in fantasy. We'll talk about some pitchers. It's really a pitching day. Pitchers are going to be expensive, I think, today in fantasy. So you've got Shane Bieber. You've got Lucas Giolito against Pittsburgh. I really like that matchup a lot. You've got Garrett Cole in Atlanta. All 3 of those are in the $10,000 range. What about Adam Wainwright? Going against Kansas City, Wainwright has looked really good so far this year. And how about another one? Here's the pick of the day. I think I go pitching-wise. I think I stay away from Giolito, Bieber, and Cole. Too expensive. Not when I've got Adam Wainwright and Chris Paddack available. Paddack is $7,800 going against a Seattle team, a young team. I like Paddack and I like Wainwright today pitching. So let's look at our batters. Atlanta Brave, rookie prospect, highly regarded, Ian Anderson, is rumored to be the starting pitcher tonight in Atlanta against the New York Yankees. Recently, Luke Voit, who is priced around $4,400 in daily, has been a man on a mission, a man on fire. Now, they got a nice matchup tonight, I think, against Anderson. They were hitting good. Voit is riding a 10-game hitting streak before the weekend break with the Mets when COVID hit and we didn't have games with the Yankees and Mets. Prior to this weekend, Voit riding a 10-game hit streak. He's hitting .405. He has also homered in 4 straight games, 5 home runs in those 4 games. He's barreling the ball at 25% of the time with an insane hard hit rate of 54%. That's right. Luke Voit, hard hit rate, 54%. I got to go with him at first base today. Now, there are other options, some a little more expensive. Bellinger, the Dodgers are at San Francisco. Abreu, who's been hot as well. He's a little more expensive than Voit. They're at Pittsburgh, or home against Pittsburgh. Hunter Dozier, $3,900 against St. Louis. All valid options today. Colton Wong at second base, going against former Tar Heel great, the Dark Knight, Matt Harvey. Yeah. So you got Matt Harvey back in the major leagues, pitching for Kansas City, going against St. Louis. And then there's Colton Wong, who's riding a 7-game hit streak, hitting .360 over those games, adding 2 steals during those games. And he's walking close to 13% of the time during this 7-game hit streak. A .467 on-base percentage for Colton Wong. I think that's huge. I think Wong is a great play at second base today and only $3,300. Some other options might be Mike Moustakas. The Reds are at Milwaukee, Great Hitters Park. Wilmer Flores against the Dodgers. So let's move over to third base. And who has been hotter lately than Manny Machado? Not many. And he's facing off at home against left-handed, soft-throwing Marco Gonzalez. Now, I know Gonzalez has had a good year so far, but Manny Machado is in the midst of a 6-game hitting streak. He's hitting .478 over those 6 games. He has 6 extra base hits. On the season, he's barreling the ball at 25% of the time, 50% hard hit rate on the season. And Marco has shown some reverse splits this year. So I'm going to take a red-hot Machado to stay red hot. It's going to be sleepless in Seattle tonight for Marco Gonzalez. Manny Machado is my third baseman. Now, there's a lot of options at shortstop. Okay, you've got Trevor Story at Alex Young, a lefty. You've got Fernando Tatis against the aforementioned Seattle pitcher that I just told you about, Marco Gonzalez, that I think Manny Machado is going to have fun with. I think that Fernando Tatis can have some fun with him too. Tim Anderson's in Pittsburgh. Corey Seager's at San Francisco. Javi Baez is at Detroit. Javi Baez, the cheapest of the bunch, at $4,600. And Javi Baez last night hit 2 home runs. One to left center field, one to right center field. We know Javi Baez for the Cubs is a streaky player. He's been on a bad streak the first month of the season. Last night, he not only had 2 home runs, he also had a single. He also walked. He's seeing the ball now. I think I take a flyer here. And if I need to save some money, now remember, I think Tatis and Trevor Story are probably the best options. But if you need to save a little money at shortstop, you could do worse than Javi Baez tonight. Chicago Cubs at Detroit. Outfielders. Well, Stephen Broad is pitching today for Pittsburgh. And Eloy Jimenez is on the White Sox. And Stephen Brault is a soft-throwing left-hander. And Eloy Jimenez is a hard-hitting right-handed bat. So when you put all that together, and due to the fact also over his last 13 games, Eloy is hitting .385 with 6 home runs, and he's only $4,900, then Eloy Jimenez to me is the pick of the day. I think you have to go with Eloy in your outfield against Stephen Brault and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Here's a cheaper option. Nick Solak, an outfielder with the Texas Rangers, facing off against Sean Manaea. Talked about Manaea a few minutes ago. Solak's been up and down this season. Maybe you should stack Texas Rangers against Manaea today. Solak hit left-handers really well last year, hitting .319. He has a 41% hard hit rate this season coming into the game tonight. He's only $3,800, and I think he's a great outfield option tonight. There are others. Whit Merrifield at St. Louis is $5,300. Let's look at those options that are below $4,000, though. Robbie Grossman at Texas, $3,900. Mike Tauchman, check your lineup, but he's facing a right-hander in Atlanta. He's $3,600. Will Myers in Seattle, $3,400. Dylan Carlson, who is starting to hit now, that top-rated prospect for the Cardinals, only $2,700. And Jason Hayward, Chicago Cub, facing a not-so-great Detroit team, $2,400. I want to throw some stacks at you. I would stack White Sox against Stephen Brault. I would consider stacking Cardinals against Matt Harvey. And I think tonight I would play as many. Good morning, Phil Chaplin. I think tonight I would play as many Oakland A's and Texas Rangers as possible. Let's go through that one more time. DFS players. I'm stacking White Sox against Brault. I'm stacking Cardinals against Kansas City Royal ace Matt Harvey. And then I think, just on a hunch here, Oakland and Texas tonight, I think they're going to score some runs. Put you some Oakland A's, put you some Texas Rangers in the lineup. Now, before I close the show today, because I've got a show tonight with Phil Chaplin at 9 o'clock. Chappie's on at 7. You don't want to miss either of those. I got to save something for tonight, right? But I want to just mention a player and a team that in fantasy, if you're playing season long, I've done a lot this morning talking about DFS, but I'm talking about season long. At this point in the season, I think you got to be looking at St. Louis Cardinals. You know, I'm a big give me opportunity, I'll give you production kind of guy. And I was looking at a particular player last night, and he may go unnoticed in a lot of your leagues. Now, Phil Chaplin, I know you know about this guy, but I got to talk about him just for a moment. And he's not a heralded player. He's not a player that probably even got drafted this year. But when you look at Brad Miller of the St. Louis Cardinals, who probably in some leagues is multi-positional eligible, he's batting second in the Cardinals lineup. Oh, by the way, last night he went 3 for 4. Oh, by the way, for the season, he's hitting .367 with a couple of dingers, 10 RBIs, and a stolen base. Brad Miller is a sneaky pick in fantasy, both daily and season long going forward. Cardinals, again, they have to play a lot of games. That's a lot of opportunity. Take a look. In ESPN leagues this morning when I was looking, Brad Miller is only owned in 6.9% of all ESPN leagues. And I would just bet that in Yahoo or CBS, that's going to be another ad. So Phil Chaplin says, going to go pick Miller up. I'm giving you the best advice I can give you. I think I'm going to start picking a player each day. And check your league to see if he's available. And look at my numbers. Don't just take what I'm saying. But anybody who bats second in an order in front of Goldschmidt is going to probably be able to produce you some numbers. So that's a take on today. Chappie, tonight, you're asking a question. I'm not prepared for football yet. I'm going to be ready for football next Tuesday night when we get into September. This will be probably our last night at 9 of going through just baseball. But next Tuesday night, we'll talk about some football at 9 p.m. How about that? Hey, guys. Yeah, I was looking at – Chappie just put up – we'll talk about this real quick. Framber Valdez. Did you guys take a look at what Framber did last night? Did you watch any of the game? Because it's one thing to look at numbers. It's another thing to look at the game. Framber Valdez, pitcher for the Houston Astros, last night. Let me give you some numbers on Framber. He gave up a few runs. It was 11-4 final score, Astros and Angels. But for the Astros, Valdez went 7 innings. He only walked 2. He only gave up 6 hits, and he struck out 11 batters. Yeah. And he threw 113 pitches, 75 for strikes. And frankly, he looked as good as anyone I've seen lately pitching. And Valdez is exactly the kind of thing Houston needs. Now, offensively, the Astros, Springer's not going to be out long. Probably today is it, if today both games. It looked worse than it was. The x-rays said no harm, only a bruise. It looked really bad. But Correa with a big double last night. Tucker, are you kidding me? Kyle Tucker, finally. We've talked about him on this show. Chappie's talked about him on his show. Kyle Tucker finally is getting the chance to perform on a regular basis. He's hitting last night cleanup for the Astros. He went 2 for 3. His 5th homer of the year. His average is now up to 252. But a few weeks ago, he was in the 210s. So he's really starting to hit. Another player starting to pick it up more for the Astros is Josh Reddick. Is it coincidental that with Yordan Alvarez now out for the year, that players like Tucker and Reddick are stepping it up for the Astros? And you look at the standings this morning. Where are the Astros? Well, we know they got swept over the weekend by the Padres. We know that. But Houston's only 3.5 out behind Oakland at 16-13. They've won 7 of their last 10. And, you know, there's a little chip on that shoulder. So I'm going to stay in the American League West for a player to watch out for this upcoming week. I talked about him yesterday. Again, he's not striking out as much. I just got to believe Matt Olson is going to have a week where he carries the Oakland A's. They've already won 20 games. And with a hot Olson, look, what's the number? You get to 30, you're in. You get to 35, you win the division. Look, the A's have played 30 games. The Astros have played 29. There's only 30 games left. If the Oakland A's play 500 baseball the rest of the way, that puts them at 35-15. And I just believe that Matt Olson is a player to watch in the upcoming few days. So, guys, I'll see you tonight. Chappie at 7. We'll be After Dark, Arnie and Chappie at 9. Everybody have a great day. I'm looking forward to spending some more time with you this evening right here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network and Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Have a great